welcome everyone. Suzanne Bailey is here. Awesome, awesome. So glad to have you on, and I'm really excited to be continuing this series of featuring fearless women because we have a bunch of fearless women in this group, and it's just, we don't maybe think we are, but when you start to talk to these women and find out what they're doing in the world and what their passions are and what they want to do, I start saying, holy cannoli, you guys are fearless women. So we want to hear the specifics. Bettina's on. Hey, Bettina. Oh, good to see you on here. Sparkles, she's known as. She will be on at some point on my podcast. So tell us, I want to just introduce you guys to Kristin Walker. Kristin and I have been connected off and on through different ways. I forget how you first found me. Do you remember?
You had the Facebook group to Let's Write a Book.
Oh,
you were invited. Yes. Yes.
We were in the
with Jen, Lisa Nichols.
Yeah, Lisa Nichols conference online. Yes.
Yeah. Were you there in person? I was only online.
I was there in person. The first time I went was the time before you and I met, and then that time I was online, and we were chatting away and getting to know all these people. I got to know more people with the online version. So that's how we met. So, and Kristin's also part of my confidence club now. So, welcome to the Fearless Women feature show today. And so I just would love to have you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you live, what you do.
Okay, well, I'm from Parkersburg, West Virginia. So I'm right on the Ohio River. On the other side is Marietta, if anybody's familiar with Marietta, Ohio. So that's where I've lived most of my life. And I'm a teacher. I have been teaching full-time for 10, 11 years. I have 3 kids, and whenever they were all in school, and I went full-time. And I ended up meeting Janelle because I fell at work, and I initially sprained my ankle. And within a week, other things started happening. They weren't sure what it was. And I tried going back to work, but then it just, I ended up in the hospital, and they've been trying to figure out what other damage there has been. But I could feel that something wasn't right, but I just, when I worked with the therapist, they were like, of course you're going to feel pain, work through the pain. I'm like, okay. And anybody that, was in therapy knows it. But there was obviously, some internal nerves that had been damaged. Oh. That's what I'm finding out from Cleveland Clinic. Oh, wow. That whenever I kept going through therapy, it just made it worse and worse and worse until it was so flared up. It knocked me out so low. I couldn't, my husband had to feed me.
Oh my gosh.
I had no strength in my arms. The worst of it, nurses had to help me to the bathroom. I don't know. I guess I got to this point that the body just, I can't do it. So I was highly dehydrated, and weak. But so because I was in this state that I couldn't do anything, I would have my husband, I had 24-hour care for about 3 weeks, and people would just set up the computer for me with stuff, and I just watched motivational stuff, and that's whenever I met Lisa, and Lisa tapped into me. I mean, I'm lying on the bed. I can't do anything. But she just grabbed me, and she reminded me of a goal that I had been working on the book. I'd been working on a book, living life awake. And actually, I will tell you, the things that I had learned really helped me through this. But and then I went through a pretty scary time, because there was a moment in my healing, if you will, when they were trying to figure things out. They were like, Kristin, we don't know.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like just giving up on me. I mean, not
Wow.
intentionally, but they just didn't know. I ended up changing doctors who referred me to Cleveland Clinic and that. But in that moment of they didn't know, it was like, oh my gosh, I was scared. And I thought, here I am, an adult woman. And I feel pretty trapped here, because I
Mm.
don't know where to go. I really don't know where to go or what to do. And then immediately I thought, oh my gosh, there are, I'm a teacher, so I'm with kids all the time. And I think of their lives. And all of a sudden, I mean, I went from before I really wanted to help kids to like, wow, there may be there are kids out there that feel trapped as well, that for whatever reason they may have skills or an environment that they feel trapped in, and they don't know how to get out. And I thought, boy, once I start to get better, I want to reach out to them, and I want to help them, and I am going to finish this book. And so
Wow.
whenever you send the invitation to let's write a book, I said, I'm in.
Yeah, I haven't kept that going, but I'm still working on my book. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in, or I'm curious about, what age do you teach?
Well, the book is for teens, but I work with early ed. So
Oh,
I've been with preschool special needs,
uh-huh.
and then I had students that were typical and atypical. Right now, I'm working with autistic kids, but the reason why I shifted to teens is because everything that I'd learned about the brain, I used as a teacher to help these kids. But teenagers are in their like toddlerhood to adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought, I use this information to help these kids, but
Yeah.
teenagers really need this, especially, whenever if you listen to a lot of the motivational speakers out there, they'll talk about they have their own coaches.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
are coaches, and here are people that have people helping them. And I'm like,
Yes.
if we adults need people helping, I need, here I am in this group
Yeah.
to help me. Thanks to you, I'm getting this book going. But I thought they need somebody rooting for them.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. I think it's just really cool to see how you are taking your own journey of pain and struggle and thinking, oh, I could use what I'm learning with teenagers. I mean, that to me is a huge leap in a way, because most of us, if we're dealing with something like that, where you're trapped in your body and you're feeling trapped and you're feeling like, I don't know, the doctors don't know, I don't know what's going to happen. Most of us are going to be so consumed by our own problems. But you switch that to, well, how can I help teenagers? That to me is like, that's a fearless woman right there. I mean, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the book. What's going to be in the book? What's it about? I love the title.
Yeah, Living Life Awake.
Living
Well,
Life Awake.
yeah. Well, interestingly, the book started whenever I was in college. And at that time, oh goodness, how do I put this in a nutshell? At that time, I struggled with constant negative thoughts. Just it was exhausting. It was just bombarding. And I was in a biology class, and we learned about the immune system. And I don't know how much you guys know about the immune system, but it is fascinating. It is fascinating. And I sat in that class, and I was like, I need an immune system for my soul.
Wow. Yeah.
and, and because like there's these external barriers, so like we're always in contact with germs, and
Yeah.
you have external barriers to prevent them from going in. And then you have this layer of, if you do get the germs, they have ways to getting rid of them. You know, you sneeze, you cough, your fever goes up because it's trying to fight that.
Right.
Um, and then you have, once it finds the way to attach it and kill the germ. If there are nurses out there, I'm so sorry I'm botching this up. But anyway, so once it has this memory mechanism. So once it knows how to fight something, the antibodies. So we naturally have antibodies.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, what are my external barriers? Like, there's so much awful garbage going on. How can I prevent that from always just like, oh, I'm not doing this right. Oh, I'm not, I can't do this. I'm a terrible person or whatever. I'm stupid. What are those things that prevent me? And anyway, so then I created, I searched religious materials from my church and from other places, and I found reoccurring themes. And then that's what I used. It helped me immensely. And so the book is, it starts out, there's an immune system in there. And I swear I've used it. And then I also have learned about the brain. And then once I learned about the brain, I'm like, the reason why I keep thinking these negative thoughts are because and again, for all the scientists out there, but I've recorded them in my head. And so every time I have something that doesn't go quite right or whatever, I have this automatic negative thought. And there's Daniel Amen.
Yep.
He talks about those too. I mean,
your
automatic negative thinking.
Brain change. Brain change your body. Yeah, Daniel. Yeah.
So I just, so what I started doing is like, what if I go, man, I'm so stupid? I go, oh yeah, but I'm not an idiot. And I started trying to use humor.
Yeah, well, that's powerful work. I mean, I do a lot of this neuroscience and let's change our thought patterns work as a coach too, because we all have them, right? We all have the imposter stories. We all have those negative thoughts. We talk down to ourselves. I've caught myself many times saying, oh, you're a stupid idiot. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? And it's like, no, let's change that to, I am brilliant. I am amazing. I can do this, or I am doing this, and start being kind to ourselves and changing the narrative that we're speaking over ourselves. And that, I love your idea of it creating immunity for the soul. I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it that way. So ladies, that are watching, like, type in the comment box, hashtag immunity for the soul. I know that's kind of long, but just to interact with us here, hashtag immunity for the soul. Like, how many of you love that idea and that concept that we can create barriers and protections, and we can get rid of those germs that are journey thoughts that are affecting us, and they affect us physically too. They affect our soul, they affect our emotions, they affect what we do in our lives. If we're thinking negatively, it'll stop us. Yeah, immunity to the soul. So
and on that, Patty Grimm had mentioned Susan David, and I looked up Susan David, and she said something that goes right with what you're saying. She said, how we deal with our inner world drives everything. And I love it. And it is. I mean, it changed. It just, obviously, and we've said this before, it's not like it makes you perfect overnight. I still struggle, but I understand the struggles. I understand them. I understand what's going on, and I have better tools to just help me. And one more thing, whenever you had said, you mentioned recently that sometimes you think, and there are others, I've thought it, it's like, well, this is a waste of time. This is a waste of time. But you know what? I've finally realized or thought, it's not a waste of time for me. Even if nobody ever reads this is for me. I have to be me for me. And I want to help other people. Heavens, I want to help other people. Certainly. But to get rid of that, this is a waste of time. Nothing is a waste of time if it's true to me.
Oh my gosh, that just like went all over me and gave me chills. Like that is so powerful. Yes, I love that reminder. So whatever you're doing, first of all, do it for you. And if it's good for you and good for your soul, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. We get so caught up in that. What are other people going to think? But do it for you. Write that book for you, or create, like I was talking, she's referring to in our confidence club, we're building confidence and we're doing some things around this book we're reading about the imposter syndrome. And we're talking about celebrating our little wins. Like when you do something, stop and mark that moment, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a fist bump, go, yay, I did it. So I had posted in the group that I finished a little section of my book, and I explained that procrastination is a problem for me because of the story in my head, like who's going to want to read this, and this is a waste of time. So I really love that, because actually that is true. Like writing my book is for me, and it will help other people, but it's not up to me to determine how many people it will help. It's me putting my stuff out there for my own self, but also it's a gift to the world, and whoever wants to partake of it is great. We've got some great comments coming in here. Bettina said, immunity for the soul is very creative. I agree. And Suzanne said, I love it. I'm all about neuroscience. Me too. I love it. I love it. Christian family said, I have to be me for me. Yes. Good hashtag right there. Be me for me.
Yeah.
Me for me. Celebrate every win, no matter how small. Absolutely. And Bettina, good for me is good for all. I love this. I love the comments and what you're sharing here, Kristin's powerful stuff.
It is. I tell you, let me tell you. Can I tell you a story? This is like, this was my first experiment with when in early childhood in the 90s, there was a lot of research coming out, and I was in early childhood, and so they were talking about how we can help kids and everything. So I was sort of, in the area where they were really trying to teach people, because it was so helpful at an early age. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try this. And I took the idea that what we are is recorded in our minds on these neuron circuits, right?
Yep.
And repetition is the key, right? Yes. So there was this boy that at where I worked in an early childhood setting would just scream. He did not talk. And so you would try to figure out what he needed, and you would point and talk or whatever, and he would scream. That was his way of saying no, would scream. So I thought, okay, I'm going to, rather than reprimand him, of course, scream is not good, right? But this is his form of communication. Think, whenever they're an infant, we totally accept when they yell, right?
Yeah.
And, they cry, we go, oh, what do you need your diaper changed? This is the form of communication that he's aware of. Now I'm going to teach him. Yeah. And so each time I would say, just say no, just say no. And one day those words came out of his mouth.
Wow.
No. Yeah. And everybody we all knew about this kid, the yeller, right? And everybody, their jaws just dropped. It's like, and my own is like, oh, this works. Yes. And so just and I, in autism with kids again, autistic kids, it's difficult for them to communicate. I had this one girl, she would draw and she didn't like the drawing. She'd like crumple it up and she'd rip it up and she'd hit her head and she'd scream and say these terrible things about herself that we think in ourselves. We think the awful things. We don't necessarily, but they're voicing what they're thinking. Yeah. So I, when we draw, I would sit down next to her. And if she started, I'd say, oh man, this is hard. This is hard, but I can do it. This is hard. This is so hard. This is not what I want. This is not what I want, but I can do this. So I would just give her the thoughts that I would want her to have in her head. And she learned it. She would draw and she stopped, doing the violent type of behavior, and she'd be like, "This is hard, Miss Walker. This is hard."
Wow.
It was just whenever I understood how the brain works, it was like a whole new world for me. Again, it's not like a couple days ago I wasn't crying as I was trying to write a report for my school, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to do my best. I'm just going to do my best. But the whole thing is, we don't want to prevent ourselves from being here. This is the pre-K teacher coming out at me. We are a flower. We're all different kinds of flowers, and we need to grow. Yeah. And so learning this taught me how to grow. I want to be this flower. It's not that I'm not going to go through storms. It's not like there's not going to be weeds in my life, but I now know how to get the weeds out and how to get this to grow. And so I just want to share that with teenagers.
Oh, and teenagers need that. I mean, we all need it, but how powerful for them to learn that young like that, and just to be able, even teenagers, their brains aren't developed enough sometimes to express what they're feeling, but it's beautiful how you have learned how to give those words to kids that need it. And Christian Family said, give her the thoughts I would want her to have in her head. That is beautiful and it's powerful. And we could do that for ourselves as well. I think that's such a great concept. If you don't like where your life is going or the way that you're thinking, give yourself the thoughts you want yourself to have and where you want to go. And that's how our brains work. Our brains are amazing, amazing, amazing. And we just,
really, they are beautiful. We are so designed. We are designed to make what we want easy.
We are.
And the bad thing is, when we do have things in our environment that make the things we don't really want easy, but the whole idea with our brain, they're so beautiful. It is, we are designed to go after what is good and what will make us happy easy.
We have that ability and that power to choose what we're going to think, what we're going to believe, and that's where we'll go. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is. We've got lots of new comments here. Let's see. Sparkle said, very important person. Healing begins with younger generations. Admire Kristin's work with enthusiasm. And Nicole, hey Nicole, get the weeds out of our head. Great metaphor. Suzanne, thank you for working with teens. So powerful. Patty, I did an Ignite Your Purpose with Passion for 50 Young Junior. Yeah, she shared that with us the other day. We all stood up and did the Wonder Woman pose and yelled, I am bold, brave, and brilliant.
Yeah.
And Patty,
yes, I did pick that up when that Patty said that she worked with women. That's wonderful.
Yes.
And
and she said we owe it to the next generation of women leaders to leave the world a better place. And Christian said, I love the power pose. I'm a strong, powerful, inspiring woman is my mantra. Awesome. Ladies, you are also fearless and powerful. And that just lights me up to see women like really owning it and being who they are, because we are powerful and we can change the world and we can affect those around us. And Kristin, I just love the work that you are doing with teens. It's incredible. I love the work you're doing in the world. Bring it on. Write that book. And you also wanted to organize some kind of annual event for teens?
Yeah, so I have, this is where I'm going into new territory. And I appreciated you mentioned in one of your Facebook Monday messages, maybe, when you were talking about confidence and how, you can be confident in one area, but then you go to a whole new territory and it shifts. And so I'm very comfortable working with kids and helping them. And I've worked as being part of National Association for Family and Community Education. I've worked with adults as well. And I years ago did a women's retreat. But with teenagers, you know, in my church, I've worked with them, but this is a whole new ball game for me.
Yeah.
So I need Patty as a mentor. But
Yeah, she said she'd love to help you with your event. So you guys need to connect and hook up there.
yeah, because this is a whole new. Actually, I was supposed to do one, but COVID came.
Yeah,
It would have been my first one. I don't know. I don't know how it would have turned out.
I'm sure it would have been amazing.
But yeah, this is my shaky ground. I have no idea what I'm doing other than I know it's what I need to do for me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And it's okay that you don't know what you're doing. What you're going to do is learn on the way and make one step at a time and reach out to people like Patty who can help you. And she said you can always do a virtual event if needed. True. But I believe that one day you will be doing a live event with teens and you will have everything you need when you get there, and you just take one step at a time, and next thing you know, person comes along to help, or a resource comes along, or a door opens up. That's how I've done a lot of stuff. I've gotten an idea, and then I'm like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And as we go along, I learn what I'm doing, or I get ideas from people, or I find out, yeah, this is what people want, so let me change things. Just finding out what people want and changing things. Patty said she was born in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
All these in here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to you ladies that are watching. Just give Kristin some love and support, and we're all in this same Facebook group, so reach out to each other and support each other. I think it's been great to get to know you, and for everyone watching and those that will watch the recording later, to get to know you in this group, that Kristin is part of this group. Now you know what her heart is. Now you know what her passion and vision are, and what she's doing in the world. So let's keep these connections going and support one another to be fearless women. Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off today?
No, I will just, as we were talking about this, that here's my first book. This is back in 5th grade. Yeah, it's called Tattletale. And so it was just a book of games, but this was me in 5th grade. Anyway, I just thought that when we were talking about the book, I was like, I just thought back at that, and it was funny. My first book, 5th grade.
Yeah, awesome. So let's see. Patty also said, awesome passion, great job, you too. Thank you, Patty. So it's been awesome. Another great featuring fearless woman video today. And thank you so much for coming on, Kristin, sharing your heart and your passion. And you go, girl.
Thank you, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see you guys next time. I'm not sure when the